Hi everyone, good to see you again. Welcome back to another children's talk. I wonder, do you know who this is I have with me today? He reckoned that if he dressed up, put on a bit of disguise, you wouldn't know who he was, but I think you do, don't you? He's not so sure. I think you know exactly who this is. Behind all the glasses, behind the hair, look who it is. Of course, it's Edgar. You knew it was Edgar all along, didn't you? You didn't have them fooled at all. No, they're too smart to be fooled with a disguise. They knew who you were all along. He's had a very busy week. He's been looking at some of your pictures and some of your videos that you sent in, and they were great, and he's really enjoyed that, haven't you? Yeah, been super, and we'll talk more, maybe you get a chance to do that again at the end of this. But we're going to tell you a story about knowing who Jesus is. You knew who Edgar was, didn't you? Even though he was disguised, you knew exactly who he was. And people wondered all the time, who exactly is Jesus? They had all kinds of ideas about who exactly he was. Jesus said to Peter one day, "Peter, who do people think I am?" Peter said, "Some people think you're a prophet from a long time ago. Some people think you're Elijah who died lots and lots of years ago. Some people have all kinds of ideas." And then Jesus said, "Peter, who do you think I am?" Peter thought for a minute, and then he said, "I know." Yeah. Peter says, "You're the Messiah." You know what Messiah is? Edgar doesn't. Sure you don't? No, Messiah. Peter said, you're the chosen one. You're the one that God has sent into our world. You are the special one. See, Peter thought he knew exactly who Jesus was. But Peter had a lot to learn. He didn't know everything. So, let us read this story. If you want to read along with us, go and grab your Bible, stop the video, grab your Bible, and you can read along with us. We're going to read from Luke chapter 9. Luke chapter 9, reading from verse 28. This is the story we're going to think about just now. You ready? Okay, let's go. About 8 days after Jesus said this, he took Peter, John, and James with him and went up to a mountain to pray. As he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became as bright as a flash of lightning. Two men, Moses and Elijah, appeared in glorious splendor, talking with Jesus. They spoke about his departure, which he was about to bring to fulfillment in Jerusalem. Peter and his companions were very sleepy, but when they became fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men standing with him. As the men were leaving Peter said to him, "Master, it is good for us to be here. Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He did not know what he was saying. While he was speaking, a cloud appeared and enveloped them, and they were afraid as they entered the cloud. A voice came from the cloud saying, "This is my son, whom I have chosen. Listen to him." When the voice had spoken, they found that Jesus was all alone. The disciples kept this to themselves and told no one at the time what they had seen. Amen. So there's the story. And it's a story about Jesus taking 3 of his closest disciples, 3 of his closest friends up a mountain. And they walked up the mountain and they got up there and they were tired. The guys just wanted to lie down and sleep. But Jesus wasn't there to sleep. Sure he wasn't. Jesus was there to do something much more important. Jesus was there to pray. And Jesus started to pray, and all of a sudden, some very strange things started to happen. There was a strange light. This bright light. This isn't a very bright light. Sure, it's not. Oh, better not shine in his eyes. But this huge bright light appeared, like lightning in the sky. And Jesus started to glow. And it was amazing. And then these other 2 figures appeared. One over here, one over here. And the disciples were looking, thinking, there's Jesus. We've seen him. But now look, there's one more. And there's somebody else. Who was it? Well, this one was Moses. He was the man that God had given the commandments to hundreds of years ago. He was dead in the Old Testament, and yet here he was. And over here was Elijah. Elijah, again, was a prophet that had walked with God years and years ago, but now here he was, alive, and there they were with Jesus. It was amazing. And the disciples looked at the light. They looked at Jesus and saw him glowing. They looked at Moses and they looked at Elijah, and it was just wow. Wow. They saw some more of just how special Jesus was. Here he was, walking and talking with some of the most important people ever. And here he was glowing like he was more than just an ordinary human being. But the story doesn't finish there, because all of a sudden a cloud appeared. And the cloud came over and covered them all over. The disciples were afraid. You could see them shaking inside the cloud. And in the middle of this cloud, a voice appeared. The voice said, "This is my son. Listen to him." God's voice speaking about Jesus. Who is Jesus? He's God's son. Peter and the other two disciples were just amazed. They looked at Jesus and they were just filled with utter wonder. Who is this guy? Look at him glowing. Look at the people he's talking to. Listen to what God has just said about him. This is my son. Listen to him. Wow. Peter said, let's do some quick. What we could do is maybe build some kind of shelter, like a tent kind of thing here, and we could sit in it and we could just stay there. And they thought that was a good idea. We could just sit here and we could just watch and we could pray and we could just be here forever. But that wasn't a good idea, sure it wasn't. Because Jesus didn't want them just to sit on top of the mountain forever. He wanted them to go back down the mountain and to do the things that he had to do. And the thing that Jesus had to do was something that's going to be very difficult. He was going to have to die in Jerusalem. Yeah, that's right. Jesus said he was going to have to die. Imagine, someone so important, God's son, was going to die. We'll talk more about that maybe in the next couple of weeks. But let's finish this story. Down they came. The disciples come down the mountain with Jesus. They had seen something new. Who is Jesus? He is the Messiah. He was the chosen one, but they had just seen how awesome he was, how amazing he was. They'd heard God say, "This is my son. You should listen to him." All right? Yeah, because Jesus is someone we should listen to all the time. He is God's son. Listen to him. Okay, so we've been thinking on what we'd like you to do this week. We put another worksheet together, haven't we? Yep, another worksheet, and it'll be on the church website, Donegal church website. And also we were thinking, one of the things you could do is you could build a tent of some kind, a shelter. Build it inside your house or maybe outside in the garden, and build yourself a shelter, and then go inside the shelter with your Bible and get your mum or dad to take a picture of you inside your shelter, reading your Bible and praying to God. And maybe what we could do this week is, if you send those in to us, maybe we'll get permission to put some of the best ones up on the Facebook page. Wouldn't that be good? Yep, because they've been really good. And so build your shelter, do your worksheet, and remember above all else who Jesus is. He is God's son, the chosen one. And what did God say? God said, listen to him. Listen to him. Do what he says, because he is incredibly important and special. Okay, hope you've enjoyed our talk. We've enjoyed being here again, haven't we? Yep, looking forward to seeing all the stuff you send in to us now over the next few days. So bye from us and have a very good weekend. Bye.